What's up with you, man? How you been?
Oh,
It's been a while.
I've been hidden away in the lair of the man cave.
Yeah, that's your home office now.
It is.
That's
It's
pretty sweet. I
definitely
mean,
a
there's some advantages, right? I mean, no long commute with this whole thing going on.
yeah. I'm Jackie and I were talking today about it's gonna be very difficult
To
to
go
go back
back. Yeah.
to that rat race bullshit, man. I mean, it's saving us so much money, and because I'm making less money because of the whole thing right
Right.
now, not needing to spend the money, we're not noticing it so much. Like that money, that gas money that I spend every week is still sitting in my checking account, you know?
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, wait, that's $120 a week that I'm spending in gas going down and back and all that." So,
Right.
um, yeah. How are you and Mindy doing?
We're doing good. So let's get our listeners back to speed. It's been since February since we recorded something. Obviously, this whole thing broke. A lot of things happened before we. Some stuff happened with you, with Jackie's family. So we
Yep,
had to take a little bit of a pause, and then right after that pause was coming to an end, this whole thing broke,
right.
and your company, said, "Hey, work from home." So we just haven't been able to do it. And of course, everybody's at home. That's the
Yeah,
thing. Unless you're an essential employee, like Mindy and I are, we've been going to work. We had a couple weeks off,
yeah.
but we've been going to work. So we haven't done an unscripted. So we want to, Michael and I, for our listeners, want to say we're still here. We're still alive. We still have plans to do it. We just haven't had a chance because for obvious reasons.
Right.
But with this, maybe we can do a little bit more. We'll see. Maybe we can get some old guests to come on and we can check to see how they're doing through this
That's a
whole
really
thing.
good idea.
So
I think it's
we'll look
figured
into
out.
that. But I've been doing good. We've still just been podcasting. I have had people over on occasion, and we're
Nice.
still doing our thing. But trying to respect the order here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. It's a very relevant conversation. I have a lot of feelings for it. I'm a high risk individual myself,
Yes, you
um,
are.
a- and I have an 80-year-old mother-in-law living with us. So,
Oof.
house, we're taking like pretty serious measures to not go out and be, um, uh, shit. What? I
Out in
Hi, we're back.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
We're not trying to be. We're
Out in the
trying to be
public.
mature about it,
Yeah,
right? We're trying to
absolutely. You
do
should
the
be.
sensitive thing. But also feeling like the government overreach is real,
Oh
you
boy.
know
I'm glad you
I
feel the
mean,
way that I do about that a little bit.
yeah, I really do. I mean, I think and there's 2 sides to that whole thing, and I'm on both sides. That's the kicker of the whole thing for
Yeah.
me is, um, I'm not an essential employee. However, I can still work from
Right.
home.
Now
Um,
now do the projects dry up though, right? No one's filming anything.
well, they pulled the plug on a lot of production, but there was a lot of stuff already done, and they're in the editorial stage where they're taking the picture and, cutting together the masterpiece that's the final product.
Right.
Um,
So
and
really the effect of this is going to come later because no one's
exactly,
filming right now. You still have
exactly.
projects to work on, but there's going to be a slowdown because people have for the last couple months haven't been doing any production at all.
Right. That's exactly right. Like, Friday was exactly 4 weeks for me for being home,
Wow.
and I mixed a movie called The Uncanny, quite nicely done. Brothers, um, I did that for I did about 7 days of work inside of a 2-week period. So I, like, did 3 days a week or something inside there, 3 or 4 days spread across several days. Then I haven't done anything since, but tomorrow I start another short project. So there's still work out there. People are getting a little bit more, open to the idea of doing these remote reviews and stuff like that.
Is
So,
it I mean, obviously it's not as good as being in the room, but is it functional? Is it
total.
working functionally where they can hear what you're doing and see what you're doing?
Yep, 100%.
So,
Yeah.
so there's a blessing in this, really. I mean, I've looked at it. You can look at it a lot of different ways. I mean, yes, people are losing their businesses. Lots of people are. There, people have
Yeah.
lost their jobs. New jobs have popped up. Of course, no one wants to change careers.
Right.
That's not so great. But we're finding creative ways to still remain productive.
Yeah.
In the case that I'm sure that you really rather like being at home and working from home.
Jason, dude, let me tell you, man, it is so incredible
I
to be able
bet.
to, um, I mean, this is just like so eye opening to have dinner at 6 o'clock
Oh, yeah.
instead of 8:30 or 9 o'clock. I mean, I would leave between 7:30 and 8 in the morning, and I would return home between 8:30 and 9 at night. And that's the shit. That's disgusting, right? When now Jackie and I get up and we take the dogs for a walk.
Oh,
Then I get on my morning meeting with Juniper, and then if I don't have anything to do, what do? Oh, I mix music or I play music, Man, all that time in the car is like I used to say, well, it kinda lets me get prepared for the day and it lets me unwind from the day. It's robbing me of a life is
it
what it's doing.
it is. It does. It
Yeah,
robs you of time, and
yeah.
time is so valuable. We got 2 weeks off from our
How was
company.
that?
Oh man,
Yeah.
if I had gone into it a little differently, I would have treated it a little differently. It
Mhm.
was the second week when I started kind of panicking, kind of like, oh, I need to work, I need to do more shit, right? Because
Right.
what I tried to do is treat it like a little bit of a sample of what life would be like if I was a professional podcaster or someone working from
Right.
home. So,
Right.
but the first week was like, just kind of kick the feet off. Second week was like, okay, get some stuff done, dude, because this is the last of
Right.
it. You're not going to get this again. So I accomplished a lot and I loved it. I mean, people talk about, oh, I couldn't work from home. Oh, I absolutely could. I loved it because I could
Yeah.
get up, work about 5 hours on something, which to me is always
Yeah.
podcasting. And
Yeah.
then I'd take a 2 hour lunch, 3 hour lunch if
Yeah.
I wanted, I'd throw on something
Kick
on
it by the
Netflix.
pool,
Exactly.
pet the dog.
Yeah. I got out in the sun.
Say, "Hey, babe, how you doing?"
I would take in the late or early afternoons. We have friends over for pickleball because none of those guys can play right now. It's the sport
Right.
I play. All the parks are shut. So
Yeah.
no one can play pickleball. So
Yeah.
luckily I have a court in the backyard. So small groups been coming over here. I'm telling
Right.
you, man, that would be the life. I would love it.
Sure.
If it obviously if it paid the same as actually having to trade my time at a
Yeah.
location, right?
Yeah. See,
Uh,
I think that's what we actually have touched on that a few times in the podcast, and that is having the name Jason Galbraith be the function that makes the money
ooh,
and not a skill. Like for me, mixing, doing this, it's like consulting is almost like where we need to be. You know
I'm
what I
with
mean? Like
you.
people call and talk and you hash out these $1 million ideas. Everybody's got them, right?
Yes.
And you talk them off the ledge from taking a bad loan or whatever, and then you get paid because you helped them. You know
That's
what I
it.
mean? The skill is helping people and not doing a specific, uh, technical trade, so to speak.
I'm with you. In fact, that's one of the things that I worked on while I was on the little 2 weeks off there. I've been
Yeah.
working on the website. In fact, you saw that narcissistic music disorder is part of Low
So
Tree
good.
Studios, which I'm really stoked about. I had a good conversation with Scott, and
God is my boy.
he spoke with John, the co-host, and they
Cool.
agreed, so they're on board. But that was one of the things I built was that, and I also put together my little page where I get into the podcast creation for other people, right? So
Mhm.
one of those is podcast consultation. I can tell somebody how to build a podcast from the ground up and how to
Yeah.
do it because I've done it in all those different ways. So
Right.
monetizing the knowledge
Yep.
is super important,
Mhm.
and in this kind of a time, right? I mean, how awesome would a business like that be,
Yeah, no kidding.
right? Nothing's going
Yeah,
to shut
totally.
down really in that regard. People are still podcasting, and with apps like Zoom, which we're using right now, it's
Mhm.
just pretty awesome.
Yeah,
It's
it
pretty
really is.
awesome.
It's a very, important move forward, I think, for this sort of thing. to, and in some ways it's bad, and I'll say that's because we may not necessarily have the need to have the big studios anymore.
Yeah.
Because now with Zencaster and stuff like that, we can record high def audio and record high def video from our home. Now, that's not to say that the backdrop of my home studio here is appealing to everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I turn this camera around, you'd see a 30 pack of Miller Lite sitting on the ground. You know what I'm saying? And I got some
that's right, buddy. That's right.
And then I've got a Gretsch sitting over there that's just gorgeous and waiting to be played.
Well, you do have a nice looking backdrop back there. I love the guitars.
I mean, it looks okay, right?
Yeah.
It looks okay. And you can kind of see my wooden guy, right?
I see him.
There.
Yeah. Some candles. You got a lava lamp. I see a bass.
Guy is like a Viking right here.
Oh, nice. I see a bass over your what is that? Yep. Your other shoulder there?
My right shoulder. Yeah.
Right shoulder.
That's a bass. I've got Les Paul, Strat. And then SG, and then another Les Paul. So, and
you play all those. What do you need that many guitars for? Why do guitarists need so many damn guitars?
That is a damn good question, Jason. And there's an answer.
Mm-hmm. Let's fill everybody in, right?
It's like the paintbrushes. Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. He said each guitar is like a paintbrush, and it paints a slightly different color. There's different sounding humbucker pickups, and that's really the sound of the guitar. Then the tone wood or the resonance of the wood has a factor into it. So all five of the guitars on the wall, not including the 20 others that are in here, are all set up different. They all do different things. Like I don't play my Telecaster when I'm doing metal.
Right. It just
you know
wouldn't
what I mean?
work.
When I'm doing some groovy Southern rock stuff like Hand of Giants, I play my Telecaster. If I'm playing stuff like Incubus, like if I'm that kind of music, I'm playing my Les Paul.
Gotcha.
You know, it's just those things do what they do.
Do you think that I'm a bass player? Do you think that the bass gets the same treatment? I mean, some do, but the variety of basses isn't really comparable to the variety of guitars. There's, of course, there's a lot of different basses, and they all have different sounds. Like a Warwick, that's a good Incubus kind of sound, right? And then, but you can get that kind of a sound from a decent Fender too, Sure. So I don't know if the bass doesn't have the same. I don't think you require the same amount of variety.
Right.
At a gig, right? If you have a gig, you don't need 2 basses, 3 basses.
No, I mean, you might have a 4-string and a 5-string.
That's it.
That's really the one of only a few scenarios where you would want to
totally
have more
agree. Totally agree. And that's what I had. I had a 4-string and a 5-string. And all I brought, I played the 5-string. I just had the 4-string there in case I broke a string. But what bass player breaks a string? That's so rare.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Robert Trujillo from Metallica.
Yeah, right. Or someone who's picking a lot too.
He's mean to that bass.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, and the conversation about that is, I think, in my opinion, is more about chords on a guitar actually have a really nice articulation, and the frequency response of those things and the harmonics that are created when you're playing like a 3-note chord, an open chord. Those strings ring out and they interact with each other through the pickup.
Right.
Bass guitar almost always, and there are exceptions, you're playing a single note.
It's true. Good point.
Right. So if you're whatever the cat is from Korn, if you just want a bunch of clank on your sound, that's what you do. You boost the highs and you kind of cut the mids and cut the lows a little, and you've got this sound.
So you're just dialing your sound in, really. And then once you do that, you don't really have to deviate much from it. Nobody,
that's exactly right.
And the truth is, no one really in the crowd's going, yeah, I could tell he changed the bass. Exactly. It's such a lower tone. that no one's going to really pick up on the texture of it. It gets a little hidden, a little buried in the music.
Right.
Now, someone like myself or like you'll be like, "Ooh, God, that bass sounds sweet." But the average listener probably wouldn't even pick that out. Typically, it's kind of the glue, right? Keeps the drums and the guitar really nicely glued together.
Yep. Totally agree.
So, so you've been doing these fun little Facebook videos.
Yes.
You just been kind of like having some fun, reminiscing, listening to music, and hanging out.
Yeah.
You've been getting your podcasting in, really.
Say it again.
You've been getting your podcasting in, really.
I guess. I mean, it's a very different world to have real time interaction with people on. I was playing music, and I've been busted by the Facebook police every single time.
Yes, they'll shut you down
time.
on that. Yeah,
they're like, your video is partially muted because it contains audio that belongs to somebody else, and all of this stuff or whatever. So, what I'm trying to do is play live versions of songs that aren't on albums, which worked pretty good on a couple nights. I'm meeting up with a lot of people on Facebook that I haven't talked to in
it's awesome.
20 years, 25 years,
How cool is that, man?
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we did last night. We had my buddy Bobby over. His birthday was on Friday. I'm hoping I'll probably release this, by the way. I'll release it right away. So, but his birthday was on Friday, and he's a stand-up comic, and you can't do stand-up comedy right now. So we were together last weekend for Easter. We had a little Easter Saturday night thing with friends, and we're like, hey, let's do something for your birthday. Let's do a quarantine stand-up show at our house.
Nice.
So we did. And one of my challenges, obviously, when a comic's coming up to the stage, there's music, and I've been busted. I've been busted by Facebook for playing music. So we played some unlicensed stuff that we could play. Nice. But it was fun, and we had a good time. It's like I said, we're all of us, I think, have found some really fun, creative ways to connect.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I think real quick before we jump off, I know it's dinner time for several people.
It is.
I've talked to Buck, and he's got interest in coming back on. I know that Sean would love to come back on.
That'd be awesome.
He's staying active during a lot of this.
I wonder if Ryan Churchill want to come back on too.
Of course, Ryan's a good friend of ours. So
maybe we should work on that a little bit this week and reach out to some of those folks and see if they'd like to do a Zoom video, if it can work, if it works. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's still showing that it's working. It's
odd.
It's the most ridiculous thing.
Well, the Zencaster's, it's awesome. So people don't know a little, we'll peel back the curtain like we like to do. We're doing the Zoom video, but we couldn't hear each other. So we switched over to Zencaster for the audio and Zoom for the video. And then now, of course, we have to work our magic syncing the audio and the video later on. That's Michael's job. I don't have to worry about that.
You know what? Check this out, dude. Because we're doing a recording on Zencaster, it's coming through. You're coming through on Zoom.
Really? Now. So maybe that'll work out. We'll see. We'll see when we're ending here. So, folks, listeners, we appreciate you guys for hanging with us. Like a lot of things that are on hiatus. I mean, this is primarily what we do with Unscripted Narrative is we deal with the entertainment industry, and it's shut down right now. So we have to be shut down with it. But Michael and I are fun enough to talk to.
Hell yeah.
And listen to.
Didn't you have a good time? I bet you smiled more than once.
I did, and they did, I'm sure, too. So we'll be back. We'll work on some stuff here while we're out. I know that we've got a couple, like at least another month of this quarantine business here in California. So we'll work on getting some guests and hanging out, dude. Giving you guys something to do. You like that idea, Michael?
Yeah, very much. So.
And nice to connect with you too, man. We should have done it sooner.
Good to see you, dude. You're looking good, man.
You too.
Looking good.
You look like you're enjoying home life.
Oh man, is that code for gaining like 600 pounds?
Yeah, I can't see that on this video. Yeah, I gained a
Dude.
little bit too. If I didn't keep playing pickleball that whole time, I would have gained like probably 5 to 10 pounds.
Yeah,
But
I mean, honestly, my scale hasn't changed. I feel different though. It's like
I get it.
I'm bad.
Well, nice chatting with you.
There's going to be a surge of music and art all the way around, and hella people getting back in shape when this is all done.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of babies 9 months from now.
Oh my God.
Got to be careful with that. Well, say hi to Jackie for me. And
please.
I will. And thank you for doing this. Listeners, we'll be back. We promise.
Yep.
Thanks,
Take
Michael.
it easy, man.
You too.
Unscripted narrative.
All right.
Later.
Bye.